Good evening, Dr. Barth.
How you doing, Eric?
Doing okay. I can breathe this week, so that's, a nice touch.
Yeah, we opened the windows. It was quite a relief you're around here.
Well, welcome to Rubber Duck Engineering. This is our 12th week at this, 12th episode of this. Good old shelter-in-place times.
I think we'll look back on this time and be like, wow, we got a lot done for not going very far.
Well, if nothing else, you and I will have a video record of this time.
This is true.
Anyways, welcome all to Rubber Duck Engineering. If you haven't been watching, this week we're working on a crazy project where we're, well, maybe not so crazy. We're working on a Conway's Game of Life. We started last week. And yeah.
Last week we got to the point. Oh, hi, Nash. Last week we got to the point where we could actually show the organism on screen, and we actually saw it evolve once.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think we couldn't click on it yet, and didn't quite look square, but
it was a little squished.
A little squished. 2 weeks ago or a week ago, we made the model and made that work, and we fixed all our bugs. We took some pull requests last week, so shall we? Well, hold on. We said a few episodes back that one of the fun things about computer science is that you get to touch lots of other disciplines. And we have been dabbling in the Conway Game of Life discipline, and little did we know how little we knew.
We were just looking before the show. We found this website of people who were really into Conway's Game of Life.
A whole other level. We were almost late for the show. Maybe we're late for the show because we were just staring at this Conway Life. Oh, you can't see my screen yet. Here. There we go. At this conwaylife.com thing where there are some strong enthusiasts. We learned there's actually a file format for Conway Game of Life, which maybe we should add to our player. We learned that there's an official editor that folks use for this. People make some very interesting large spaceships that move. It's a whole thing.
What is that? Holy moly.
I don't even know.
There's clearly a lot going on. Anyway, I thought it was really fascinating. If you're interested in this stuff, I'd recommend checking out the website.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like we were totally flying by the seat of our pants when we invented this sort of .x file format. And it's nice to know that there's actually a community accepted file format for these things.
Yeah. No, I think it's fun to think about how such a simple thing like this, automata can turn into a whole community, and it's fun to see people like this blog is active. People posted last week, on the internet. So.
Yep. So I think I sent another pull request. Into pull requests at the top of the show.
I'm liking the pull requests. Let's pull up a new window of Destiny. And begin. I know you can't see my screen yet, but it's coming. I promise.
Oh, hi, HAL 9000.
Oh my goodness, it's maybe HAL 9000. I have to click. Peace. All right, hold on. I made it full screen, and that was a mistake. GitHub, Rubber Duck Engineering, Conway. Okay. Now with 100% more screen share. Let's do it. Okay. We have a pull request. I like pull requests. Add more still life and periodic test cases.
Yes. So actually, this thing has 2 commits. So the first commit was I tried to address some of the review feedback that you gave me on my previous CO.
Yeah. The from fixture and to fixture. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And now that we know that there's an actual official format, it can make even more sense because we could have a from, what is it, RLE, I think you said the format name was?
Yeah, run length encoding. Yeah. I think that sets us up well for that. I also added the equality operator that you asked for.
Mm-hmm. Do we have a hash operator? Isn't that required in Dart?
Oh, I didn't. I think you're right, yes.
I think maybe that's only for if you put something in a map. But I seem to recall if you add equality, you also have to add hash.
Okay, that's good feedback.
I can't recall if Dart requires at overriding. Whoa, hello.
The dialogues are real.
Hash at the same time as.
I think you're right. I remember that. Like it's supposed to be the case that if two things are equal, then their hash has to be equal, but not the other way around.
I think so. So I think that you will now break that contract, and I don't know what the fallout from that will be. Okay. To fixture. Oh, that's just one switch.
I don't know what that is.
Direct dev, transitive. Oh, maybe this is because you made it a dev dependency on matcher? Yeah.
Oh,
it previously was a transitive dependency through tested, presumably, or through test.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think the pub tool edited the log file for me.
Oh, and you added a matcher.
Yeah. So we talked about this a little bit last week. So I'd recommend actually reviewing this from bottom up in the file.
Okay.
So you can sort of see how these things are used. So they allow us to write sort of very succinct test cases and then have a lot of control over how when they fail, what the error message is.
We still haven't found the matcher. Or is it magically used?
No, it's not much. Yeah.
Here we go. This?
Yeah. Nash is telling us that we do overriding equals does require us to override hash code.
Okay.
That's really good.
So,
thanks, Nash.
Oh, you're right. So we may actually need to fix that as part of landing or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what this lets you do is, so I just wrote down the string patterns, and then the assertion just says that string pattern 1 evolves to string pattern 2.
I see, because evolves 2 is the matcher.
Evolves 2 is the matcher. And this also lets us easily add the other direction that says 2 evolves to 1, which is testing the other side of the back and forth, the period 2.
Okay. This also, now that we know about RLE, and now that you've changed the name, this actually makes this, because like RLE, we've not played with it done, but it is not designed for fixture writing.
No, it's designed for compact encoding as opposed to obvious correctness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so let's see what this. Let's see what.
So endures is another matcher that I added. So endure says that it evolves to itself essentially.
Are matchers supposed to be lowercase constants like this?
So I looked in Flutter, and they all seem to be in a lower camel case.
Makes some sense, but normally the other ones are functions, and this is like a singleton.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little odd.
Yeah, Flutter has some singleton matchers too.
Okay. Okay, evolves to. Okay, so we can start from the top here now. Endures, yeah. I see. So this allows you to add to the failure message, I presume, this description object is building during some failure.
Yeah.
Hold on, Nash is telling us there's a great package from Felix called Equality, which you can check out for better equal and comparison. Okay. Cool. Because I think there are some equal and hash. There's hash helpers. I remember we were adding them either into Flutter or into Dart. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe this package can help us with that.
Okay. So description object, I presume this is built up during an error?
Yeah, I found this thing a little opaque. And so what I did is I played around with the test cases a little bit to make them intentionally fail. And then I saw what they printed out, and then I sort of poked at these data structures to make the error messages look pretty. It's a little hard to review. I guess I could have copy and pasted some examples into the pull request chat thread or whatever.
I mean, the reality, I think we're misleading our viewers a little bit. For like a large project, this is not entirely how review happens. Like I would be rejecting this pull request, for even this like level of stuff, and I'd be adding lots of detailed comments. Like here, we sort of start from the default assumption that I'm going to accept this, and then we're going to edit it afterwards, just because that makes for a better hour of us hacking together. But in a large project, this would just default. Your default is rejecting, right? And then you edit until it is something landable. Because you can't fix on the tree when you have 100 other people hacking on the tree at the same time. Okay, so Okay, and then this is the actual checking of the match. Okay, we make a world state. Okay, match state parse error. Okay.
It's a sort of funny API. So it calls matches, and then if it fails, and it asks you to describe why this thing mismatched.
Yeah.
And what you're expected to do is cache objects on this match state, so that you can then construct beautiful error messages with them.
Hey, it seems like a reasonable API to me. I wouldn't maybe have exposed it directly as like a map. Like I might have had my own custom object that had that functioned like a map. But that's okay. I don't need to criticize whoever wrote this code. Like I would add error, parse error, name, and here's the dynamic object.
Yeah, it's also interesting. Like I kind of assumed that an exception would be a common thing to want to deal with in matches, but I couldn't find. Maybe it exists and I'm just not aware of it. But I didn't find any sort of support in the matching package to help me generate a beautiful message with my exception.
Well, and you could imagine here again, if this match state was an object or something, you could then have it be you could have it call your subfunction and catch the exception for you, and you pass it the name of how you want to handle it. Because again, that's probably a common thing, and then this becomes a 2-line or a 3-line instead of a 7-line.
And these things may exist. I just may be unaware of them.
Yeah, maybe Nash will tell us. Anyways, world state, okay, toFixture. Next fixture. It's a little odd that you call it next world when it's a fixture, not a world.
That's a good comment. I looked at some of the other examples. At least the ones I looked at in Flutter were often using like a class as the index in the map instead of a string. And so I started out using the world state as the index.
Yeah.
But then I thought, well, maybe sometimes I think when I got to the evolves to, I had 2 of them. So I wasn't quite sure what to do.
Oh, I see. You would use the class as the key to the map?
Yes, I found some examples of people using this API who did it that way.
Interesting. This also feels like a kind of like a Dart1 kind of API, and maybe that is just because Dart1 was so dynamically typed, or more dynamically typed, less explicitly typed than. Actually, I'm not sure that what I've said make any sense, but anyways.
Yeah, like the fact that they didn't tell me the type of the map. They're like, it's a map from anything to anything. It's like, it's very flexible. I didn't quite know the best way of holding it.
Contains key. I think, does Dart also allow you to do the in operator, or am I mixing languages? Is this also equivalent to parse error in match state?
I'm not sure.
I think I'm mixing languages.
I think that's a JavaScript thing. I don't know if that's a Dart thing.
And whoa. Yeah, I understand what you're doing here.
Yeah, it feels like there should be a better way of saying, here's an exception.
Yeah.
Add this to my description. I didn't find it.
Huh. Yeah, that seems like a super common thing to have on your description. Okay, this is the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing is there, so that when these things fail, you can say, this is what it was. It evolved to this instead. It was supposed
instead
to
of what you
that,
actually expected. Yeah.
And have it actually formatted in a way where you can read it nicely.
Yeah, no, makes total sense.
I mean, I sort of went overboard here, since this is like we have like a handful of tests, and this is the kind of machinery you build for like a giant test suite of fancy things. But
we're being fun. In can be used for for loops, but I've never tried it with a map. Yeah, Nash, I think I'm just mixing languages in my head. Like that's probably a Pythonism or a Javaism or a JavaScriptism. As I probably said on the, I don't actually write code as my professional day job anymore. I just get to do it on fun for weekends or with Adam here.
Well, even I mean, I do write code as my day job, and I just use so many languages I can't really keep them straight. And
Yeah.
like,
it is always funny sometimes people ask me earlier in their career, like, which should I learn first? And I was like, whatever one you like. Because I feel like it's so much about just repeating those patterns of, well, this is the like abstract patterns of language. Well, this is how you do a loop. This is how you do return. This is how you handle errors. And
yeah, sometimes you encounter languages that have really fundamentally different concepts in them, but a lot of times they're just sort of all paint over a very similar structure.
Yep. Okay, this is the endures const. Oh.
Yeah, because endures doesn't take any arguments, so it's just a const. Like there's a singleton of it that.
So you don't need a static here? No, I guess here again I'm mixing languages.
I believe in Dart, const is like super strong. It's like it's actually so strong it's executed at compile time.
Yeah. This is the one true endures, and the whole thing will always be used at compile time. Evolves to extends matcher, string target fixture, final, yeah. Yeah, here again, you want some like helper.
Yeah, these two classes are very similar. There's probably some way of sharing code between them.
Well, in fact, these are exactly identical, right? You could use a mix-in.
Mm-hmm.
You could literally use a mix-in with, well, in fact, are they identical?
The string at the end, oh, maybe they are. Maybe they're more similar than I thought.
So endures does not have a constructor.
So what you compare against here on line 25 is different. Mm-hmm. Instead of comparing against pickle, you compare against target fixture. Mm-hmm. And then the description is a little different because the description for the endure says it's supposed to endure, and this one says it's supposed to go here. Anyway, I think if you want to reject the pull request and have me solve these problems, I think that's totally fine. I don't think this pull request is going to stop us from doing fun stuff this episode.
I think the only question about rejecting is whether or not because I don't feel like I like own this repository, so this is like us together. I think the only reason why we would not want to land this is the hash question. Is that going to bust something else that we do? And I think the answer to that is no, because we're not putting this in a map. Mm-hmm. So we're violating the sanctity of Dart, but like I don't think we're
not actually going to get caught.
Yeah, our hand may be in the cookie jar, but no one's watching. So common base class enter mix-in could probably include most of this.
I think what you're seeing here is a pattern that comes up a lot in code reviews. Like I wrote this code in a particular order, mm-hmm. And I wrote the special case, the endures case, before I wrote the evolve suit, which is a general case. But then in code review, when you're looking at it all together, you can sort of more easily see, hey, these things are really close in shape, and so you can get out a lot of these sort of path-dependent results.
And again, if we were doing this for our day job, because again, I've worked with Datenbarth a lot, you just end up reviewing your own patches. You post your patch, and then you basically review it, and you're like, okay, I should go fix that. And so then you go fix it, and then when you're working on a big project, the thing that the reviewer actually sees is your third or fourth or fifth iteration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a funny thing where just even looking at it in a diff viewer, my mind flips into a different mode.
Yeah.
Than it is like.
Totally. Okay, I think we should land this because we're not a 500-person project, and we should just land it, move on with our life, and we can fix this in some fix me's later.
Okay.
We found some errors during review, but we're going to go ahead and land this now, and maybe fix them later. Elements left. Okay, let's go ahead and merge. Confirm merge. Okay. Also, I did a very dangerous thing just before the show. I upgraded my Flutter.
Talk about putting your hand in the cookie jar and seeing if you get caught.
Well, so upgrading Flutter is not itself dangerous. It's just changing anything about your setup 30 minutes before showtime is dangerous. So we'll see. We'll see if it all falls down, all the cards.
It's all for your entertainment.
Okay. So let's hot reload. Actually, I mean, all you did was change test cases, so I don't think this should change. But this is where we got to. Here we are, 21 minutes into the show, and we can see where we left off. Which is this beautiful thing, which is our little fixture that we can see evolve. I think this is the beacon. This is the beacon example. Yeah, it just blinks. So what should we do first?
Should we do interactivity? Like maybe clicking it to toggle alive and dead?
Let's do it. I also really want to fix this aspect ratio. But that's just a single widget, right? If I just wrap this this custom painter in an aspect ratio, it'll fix this. Yes, no?
That's worth a try. I mean, I think there's a good chance.
I need to be in the other file, main.dart. Some painter. Conway painter. Okay, this thing, Conway game. So I think if we just wrap this.
Do you think this should be an opinion of the Conway game or the thing that's holding the Conway game?
I think it should be the Conway game, because I think the game is itself squares. Like, it feels weird to draw Conway not with. But it's a valid question. Aspect ratio. I think that defaults to, oh, is it telling me there's missing? Aspect ratio. Okay, fine. Is the style to put child first?
Child last, usually.
Oh.
So you're trying to create this like cascading expression.
Okay. I think that should just work. I don't see it working though. Aha! It caught us.
The analyzer is smart.
Avoid using braces.
Oh man, I totally did not run the analyzer.
Okay, so I'm surprised that our aspect ratio didn't work. I think if it doesn't just work, we may move on to something else. It didn't just work. I wonder why.
I think we've given the game very tight constraints. So I think if you loosen the constraints in one of the directions, I guess in the vertical direction.
Oh, because we also have it in an expand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if you take it out of the expand, then it'll give it some flexibility vertically to adjust itself to be square.
I'm not finding an aspect. We're barking up a dead tree here. It's not a viable analogy, but you understand what I mean. So, maybe not to remove that, rather to find. I see.
Yeah, try taking away that expanded and see what happens.
Well, this now does beg the question, but yeah.
Oh,
okay.
There you go.
So you kind of want this centered, though.
Yeah, so throw a main axis alignment middle in there.
Center.
Oh, center.
Okay, there we go.
That looks much better.
Yeah.
It psychologically feels better to be square.
Yes. I lost you. There you are. Okay. So clicking. Shall we do some clicking?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that we need to do is that currently this is just loading a random fixture, which is maybe not. I guess this is somewhat independent, like what fixture we load. Right. When we init state, we load this thing, which happens to be that size.
Yeah, I think we may want to add a dialog box or something to input a fixture or set a size of the world or something. But
okay. So clicking.
Clicking, yeah.
So that's going to be on our. We put like a gesture handler on our Conway game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would wrap the custom paint in a gesture detector.
Gesture detector. You also are welcome to type if you like.
Okay. So let's see where.
I don't want that little smart. On tap.
Right, the problem on tap is not going to give us the details to figure out where we're tapping. So we want something else. Maybe it's on tap up. Give us some details. Can you figure out what kind of?
Wait, I want on tap up. Oh, I want on tap.
Yeah, tap up details.
So what is the behavior that you want? When you click it, you can imagine wanting to scroll with your finger too.
Right, so that'd just be a different gesture. So this is going to be a tap gesture.
Okay. Okay, let's try this. On tap up. And so then we need to hit test against our Conway painter as well.
Of the details. Oh, yeah, so we'll always be tapped inside. So it may be easier for you to type this because you have the analyzer auto-completing.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Happy to. So I'm sorry. I don't remember this part of the framework, so you'll have to walk me through it.
Oh, I don't either. But I think tap details will have some sort of properties on it that will tell you where the tap occurred. Yeah,
like local position?
Local position, yeah.
Okay. So now we have to actually do the hit testing against our grid.
Correct. So we could look. I think local position will have like an X and Y.
Okay, so let's get our XY, hit test against our model, and then flip the hit square.
Yeah, and there's a little trickiness here because this is a stateless widget, and so it doesn't actually own the state of the world. And so we'll probably need to add like an observer to the world so that the class that owns it can rebuild.
Oh, well, maybe this is the wrong place to be doing this.
Well, another way to do it is we could add a callback to this class that says this thing can do all the hit testing. It'd be like somebody wanted to tap on square, cell 3-7 or something.
Well, so maybe this is I'm pulling behind the veil a little bit. So one of the things I've been thinking about is like, what happens if we try to push this to the web? What happens if we try to put this on a server? If you put this on a server, the model is not even local. So it could make sense that like this thing really has an API that it talks out to the model with, right? Okay. Like somebody tapped here. That could make sense to me, right? So we get passed in some sort of API thing, or for now it can just be a single callback, which is like toggle here.
Okay, so we want like a on toggle.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. And we can define.
Do you want to do the work where you get the XY and hit test and figure out what this is?
So this guy, I'll have to go look at this painter here. You kind of want this, like a painter should just paint, but this also kind of wants to do the hit testing.
Well, the hit testing is going to be pretty easy, right? Because you just need to know the width and the height.
Well, but like if the painter happened to like be adding borders, right, or something like that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You want that like right next to this other code. You want a co-location of this code.
Well, I think it's totally fine to pull out the painter and have it have a hit test. Why not?
I see. So we just keep this, yeah.
But just remember the painter that we used, and then you can ask it to hit test.
Okay, sure. So we do painter dot test. Whoa. What is that?
Oh, maybe it has a hit test. I think Custom Painter may know about hit testing. I think we had I think you commonly have this situation. I see. So you give it a position and it says yes or no. Which isn't quite the contract that we want.
No.
So we just maybe need a different name besides hit test.
Yeah, that's fine. Whoops. So we want like a find hit cell.
Yeah. So I'm going to add a class to the Conway library, which is class cell position.
I mean, because Flutter uses this offset class, but it's a floating offset, and we really want an int offset.
Correct.
I find this is super common. I feel like I have to write an int offset every time I work in Dart code. So okay, so you're telling me this is going to be a cell offset or cell position?
Yeah, so I'm going to change this to take a self position. Oh, and then I'll add functions to the model that work in terms of positions, just to make this easier.
Some Flutter or Dart just need like an int offset class, but that's fine. That's not a today problem. Okay, find hit cell, yeah. Let's see, because so this is going to take this local position. Yep. Okay. And then hit test against our model. We just did that. And then we're going to call this thing on toggle position. So it is possible that this could be null, right? Or we failed to hit a cell, right? Because you're in border or something like that. So if position not equal to null, position can return null. I don't know if we should. Like we don't support that yet. That.
Do you want to put an assert that is not null with a comment about that issue? I find that's a good way of, when you have assumption like that, localizing it so when you hit it, you remember why you. I do think we should handle the case of on toggle being.
Oh yes, definitely. Because you could imagine wanting to use this and not wanting to have a callback.
Yeah, I guess the official way of doing that would be to only install this gesture detector if that were the case.
Yep.
So I can pull this up and do a function.
I see. Mm-hmm. Yep, that makes total sense. I miss coding with you, Dr. Barth.
Yeah, it's good fun. Okay. Am
I the only person who calls you Dr. Barth?
Yes, pretty much.
I was realizing that could be strange to someone else hearing it. That like, does Adam make people call him doctor, or like, that's really pretentious.
Oh, we have a problem here.
No, impossible. Also, we have a problem that the analyzer doesn't like us, but it rarely likes us anyway. So maybe that's not a problem.
Clearly, another L here. I think we have to move this back to being a closure because we're capturing the painter.
Yes.
What is
I mean, you could have ended passing in a painter instead of capturing it. And then it's still a closure, but yes.
It's getting a little ugly. It's like this is another thing I think about when I'm writing code is like I feel like there's a book somewhere that has the perfect version of every code, like the perfect representation of everything you're trying to do. And I always ask myself the question when I'm writing some code, like, is this the code that's in the book? This idea that comes from math. In math, there's supposed to be a book that has all the correct proofs of all the theorems. Like this code does not look like it's from the book.
I was partially listening to your math analogy, which I actually heard all the way, and thinking about how we should write this instead.
How should we do it?
Well, we should have a create on tap up. Like we should just move this out into your function. Just have it return the closure.
Oh, okay.
You want to do it, or am I doing it?
Go for it. Sounds like you have it in your head.
I have it in my head. The book is in my head. So this is what is this thing called? What's the callback called? A little weird to be like pulling from the on. How's that?
I think it's better.
What is this? It shouldn't be dynamic.
It should be. I think it's. You should look at what the type for on tap is. On tap up. I think it's just gonna have like a name in the framework.
Only above here. So many the comments. My goodness.
I would search for on tap up and yeah.
Search.
That was it. Oh, you just had it.
Oh. How do I go back? Whatever. Keep going. Cycle around.
It's that one.
Gesture tap up callback. That's how we roll.
Okay. I gotta make it private. I like everything to be private.
Make it private. Just like my Twitter handle.
Okay, I think this is getting better.
Speaking of Twitter, I'm reminded we do want your comments. So if we're crazy or not so crazy, or you like,
if you made it to minute 38 of the show, we definitely want your comments.
There you go. Yes, true.
Okay, so we still need to find hit cell.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we have some. We somehow got ourselves confusatoried here.
I need to probably delete those stray curly braces.
Oh. Did your thingy not compile?
I don't know.
So you didn't run the analyzer. It's not clear that you ran the test.
No, I think we added these while we were editing. I think some amount of adjusting the indentation of stuff.
I see. Well, this is a test file that we haven't touched, but well, maybe not. Who knows? Okay. No, you're right. This isn't a test file. Anyway, sorry, you were saying. Whoa, I like this. Shows me like where the arrows are. That's cool.
I was gonna say we need to write find hit cell.
We do need to write find hit cell. Okay, and as you said, this should be straightforward. Cell position, find hit cell, and this is offset.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe local offset is what that's supposed to be called. I'm not entirely sure. And then we do return.
It's not, it's just positional, not named.
Oh, we'll find it. Offset dot x divided by x step. Set dot y.
You need the cool squiggle divides.
Squiggle divide, not double divide. I wonder what language it is that uses the double divide syntax. One that doesn't have /s comments, I bet. Okay, this is clearly not quite right.
I think it's dx.
Dx. I wrote this all from memory, so.
Size.
4 trailing commas. What's the size? Oh. Okay, we did something wrong here. The painter does not know its size. It gets passed in its size.
So the size should be on the build context.
Where am I? So this thing needs to be passed a size as well. That's what I'm learning from this.
Yes.
Do we need this to be a closure? I guess we still do. But we're not really holding on to the painter for any reason. We could just make a new one just as easily. But the world might have changed. Of course, the world is just a reference anyway, so the world might have changed anyways on our painter that we're holding on to. But this has to also hold on to the build context? Is it valid to ask your build context during build what your size is?
It's valid to ask when it's not during build. Like when you get tapped is a valid time to ask. So the phases of Flutter are you build a bunch of widgets, then you lay them out, which gives them their sizes, and then you paint them. So by the time you get to paint, you know how big things are. And then by the time you get tapped, you know how big things are.
Okay. So we just also have to pass the context here.
Right. So this is going to push us. So I think this is all indicating that we should put the aspect ratio outside of this class. Because the aspect ratio, the context you get here is the context for the whole widget, which is going to include the padding provided by the aspect ratio widget. Which is fine. I think the aspect ratio widget should be outside of this anyway. Like it's
about the aspect ratio, like this thing could also do its own aspect ratioing, which I'm not suggesting it does. And that's really what the null here kind of gets at.
Oh, like just in the paint function.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to like type that out now that like we make paint do aspect ratioing, but that's where I could imagine a null here. I'm just playing old tapes from when I used to work on editing code in WebKit. And you have to make a decision about like where do you put the editing position, or how do you handle the type when somebody like drags outside the. I don't know if that making any sense, but like you have to handle all these cases, which we don't have to here. But okay, I think the simple thing to keep us on time is, as you said, move the aspect ratio out.
So okay. I can do that if you want to continue with the hit testing stuff.
Sure, I will make the hit testing work here. From Excel context. I can't imagine that that's what it is, but.
Is it just get size?
I have no idea. I just typed that.
I think you want to call find render object. Oh, get size. Oh, just size. Yeah, there you go. It's a very common thing to want to do.
But you're not allowed to ask during build.
Correct, because during build you're still like constructing a tree and it hasn't gelled into place yet.
But you hold on to the build context. Oops.
Yeah, like a common thing to do is if you're just a state full widget, then you just have access to the build context all the time. It's a little weird to like. I think we're getting some signals from the code that this should be a stateful widget, but let's. I think we should push on with statelessness for a little while.
All right. Yay! We compile. Okay, shall we try? Oh, but this, did you implement the,
I did not. So we have to add the actual on toggle callback or do something with it.
I was noticing when we were looking at one of the gesture detector, I think it was, you can see that null safety is creeping into Flutter because you're seeing little
little question marks turn up.
You're seeing little question marks turn up. I was hearing from some of the engineers that they were talking about how when you move to a null safe language, which Dart is becoming, it like helps you find all these holes in your API. You just like didn't think about null. Oh, but now you have to think about null, which is cool. So
there's some quote from some famous person from the history of computing where they said that like the null pointer in C was their like $1 trillion mistake or something, because apparently this was the person that invented the null pointer in C.
Yes, I recall something in that, but yes, null pointer exceptions are just, there's so many of the failures. Okay, we were going to implement on toggle here. This thing.
This really should be a self position callback. There we go. What it is.
Okay, and does this thing have the world?
Yes, this thing is finally the thing that has the world state.
Did you give me a toggle?
I didn't. Do you want a toggle?
Sure, give me a toggle. That's another thing, is like why I wrote that as a toggle is like, yes, it's probably only used in one place, but it's the kind of thing that just belongs on the model because everybody's going to do it. Or if not on the model itself, some like controller wrapper around the model. Like the callback to the server is going to be toggle. It's not going to be go read from the server what the state is.
I learned all these things about CRDTs, which is like expressing your model mutations in a way that they're position independent, or they can be, if you have two people poking your model from two different clients, you can merge the operations.
Some people write, what's it called? Redux, I think, is a like single, like replayable model thing that people write as a data model. Am I making any sense?
I don't know exactly what it's called.
Yeah, I've never written with that pattern, but it always has sounded fascinating. And the inner tubes are slowly receiving your keystrokes here.
Oh, it'll come. You should. Oh, this is the last thing you're waiting for?
Well, once it comes, it'll save and then it'll refresh. I think this should just be a hot refresh because this is done during build time. It's not state, so I think if this is saved, which it is.
Should we try it?
It's doing it. It's hot reload. All right, let's.
Oh my gosh!
Whoa! Oh, it's not a set state. Of course, it's not. Oops, wrong one. There we go.
Oh, yes, you definitely did set state.
Yeah, anytime you see that where like your model isn't actually toggling until something else happens, it means you missed a set state. Come on, did you save? This poor machine is so slow. Here we go. It's still doing it though. We'll restart, just in case.
Oh, and maybe our painter.
Oh, needs repaint none. Oh,
yeah.
It's just going so slow. But why is it ever repainting?
So I just changed the should repaint on the painter to return true all the time. Let's see if that helps.
Okay, still not hot reload. I wonder if it's just like going out to lunch. Do we have some n-cubed algorithm here?
I don't know what it.
All right, let's for the printf machine. I actually don't know if this is going to help at all.
Do you want to print out the position? I didn't give you a toString, but I can give you one.
What? No toString? All right, we reloaded. I'm not actually sure that we did reload. Oh, I have errors. Oh, because I'm waiting on your toString.
Okay, we got a toString now.
Oh. Chugging. I have like a small airport running here, by the way. As my little MacBook tries to go to space.
Its fan is.
I think when I looked last time, it was the broadcasting software that it was eating 120% of the MacBook and just leaving a tiny little sliver of processor left for us to do all of our work.
Okay, you want to try clicking it?
I did.
Well, that's in the dead space. That's outside of the.
Oh. Okay. I see. It's the dead space. That's part of our problem. Is the dead space doesn't look dead. What would be an easy way to make the dead space look dead?
We could fill the live space with a color, or we could add a grid lines or like a box around the whole thing.
We also could just change the color of the background of the.
Yeah, we also change the background of the app.
How do we do that? We would put a what's it called? Like a border box kind of thing, or is there a cutesy way?
Yeah, you can just wrap the column in a decorated box.
Wrap in. What are you trying to tell me on my background?
Parameter decoration is required.
Makes sense.
It's a box decoration. I think you want background color. Well, maybe color works too.
I want. Show me the money. Okay. So now
we need to paint the white squares white in the.
Well. Oh, you're right. We do.
Yeah. Probably we just want to draw a big rectangle over the whole thing that's white, as opposed to painting lots of little tiny white squares.
Okay. Well, sorry, the alive ones are black. You want to paint the. I think we're currently painting alive as black.
Yes, so we want to paint the. Oh, did I say alive? Sorry, I meant the dead ones. I can just type it if you're not sure what I have in mind.
Go for it.
inner tubes.
The inner tubes are slow. It's really cool that we can do this, but the inner tubes are slow. I think I would probably have named these paints separately, but that's fine. Whoa. Is this now telling me I can click down here?
I think so.
So you said you changed the redraw to always. That seems wrong.
Yes.
So maybe we can fix that. This, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so what we should do here is this should repaint old.
Well, so just comparing the worlds isn't going to work because it's the world itself that's changed. The world object is persistent.
Well, but I thought that's what you did is you added the equals for the world.
Right, but there's only ever one world object and it gets mutated.
But again, I thought you added a full comparison for the world.
Right, but the world that this painter is holding on to is the same world object the whole time.
And so your comparison doesn't check the alive stateness?
There's no snapshotting, right? It's got the same.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah. So, right. So the right way of doing this is to make.
I thought we made new worlds when we do next.
Right, but we're not doing next.
We're not doing next.
Mm-hmm. So there's an actual correct way of doing this. So if you go look at the custom painter docs.
Yeah. Oops. Oh.
So if you look at the constructor.
Okay. Sorry, the constructor. This one?
No, on the right where it says constructors.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a listenable. So this is to support the use case where there's a mutating model object.
Mm-hmm.
So our model object should implement listenable, and then we should pass it to a custom painter to the superclass, and then our should repaint should just return false actually.
Okay, so let's do that. Okay, and then not this one.
So it's right here in the custom painter. So we'll have to do some work on the model to make this work.
That's fine. I passed it. It should be yelling at us for not having implemented.
So I think the change you made was not quite correct.
What do you mean? All the code I typed is correct. Yes, you're saying.
We're trying to call our superclass constructor. So if you go look at line 26.
Yes, you're right.
Pass it there. So now there's a type problem because we need to go make world state.
That's what I was trying to get to, is to get the analyzer to tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we need to make this listenable,
Yes.
which is then going to yell at us for missing some overrides.
So whenever we get mutated, we need to call something unlistenable.
Mm-hmm. This must be an interface. It says extends is not. Let's see what listenable is.
Right. So there's a base class that's going to help us here. So if we go back to the docs and click on listenable, we should look at what subclasses it has. There's one that's going to manage our listeners for us.
Mm-hmm. 2 variants. Whoa.
Yeah, we want change notifier, which can be subclassed or mixed into objects. So we want to be a change notifier.
Oops.
It's a long time to get right in the framework.
And I think this would be difficult for someone to discover. Maybe there's a widget on the week about this or something. Widget of the week about this.
So let's see. We need to import our package here.
Like, I think this was added to the framework after I stopped hacking on it.
What library is this in? Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then change notifier has like a notified changed method.
Add listener. Why do we have to implement add listener? Nobody maintains that. Optimize for a small number.
Okay.
Oh, we're back to implements instead of extends. That's the problem.
Oh, I see. Yeah, we want to extend it. And then on line 75.
Wow, we made Flutter crash or something. Maybe I closed it somehow. Nope, crashed.
Oh well. If you go down to line 75, I'm going to add the critical the thing that actually generates the notification.
Yes.
So this is where we actually mutate the model.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to say.
And presumably it's the only place we mutate the model.
We should go check that. It's notified changed. Notified listeners.
Okay. Oh, Nash is helping us out. Well, using should repaint is super handy, especially for things like animations and other change notifier type objects. You need to call notified listeners. Yep. We got there, just a little slowly. Okay. Now we have to restore the flutters. Somehow we made it crash. I don't even know. Oh, it has cleared the... Or maybe I somehow closed the window accidentally. Might have changed focus or something. It would cause all listeners of your object to be rebuilt with the new value. Yes, exactly. Okay, and now we wait for Xcode to do its thing. So since we're over time, again, some thoughts as we start to wrap up, Dr. Barth?
I'm excited that we got the interactive thing. I'm also really excited we discovered the run length encoding. And so I feel like if we write a parser for that, then we can start running some of these cool community life forms in our viewer.
Well, our little player is not sophisticated enough to run a lot of them, right? So I don't know what our player looks like with 1,000 by 1,000 or 10,000 by 1,000. Whoa, SegSab. Sorry, you guys can't see this, but we got a crash report.
Oh no.
And because Electron, what? Oh, I see, because this was a sub-process of...
of the Visual Studio Code.
I want to take a second and read this just because I used to work on this part of the world when I was in Apple. Translation helper, Dart compilation pipeline. So we somehow crashed the Dart compiler with our edits.
Do we get like a prize, or they send us a pin or something?
We totally should. Where's my crashed dash in the mail? Well, that's unfortunate. Okay. Oh my goodness. Overflow. Okay, we have to restore peace and justice to the tiled screen. Okay.
Does it work? Can you click the things?
Why was it overflow before and it isn't now?
Because of the aspect ratio widget, right? If you have a long and narrow window, then it'll try to be square and look at too big.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we needed to be aspect ratio and centered somehow?
Yeah, we haven't quite found the right widget to provide space. I'm sure there's a widget that will provide space either on the left or on top,
Mm-hmm.
to the sides or on top, depending on which ones you need to fit your.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's fine. That can be a next week kind of problem. But this is not nothing, right?
mhm.
I don't like know any Conways right off the top of my head. Whoa,
You got to a stable square.
this is kind of cool though.
Yeah, it's kind of doing the thing. I'm actually really interested to know how it performs with 1,000 things. Like, it might be fun to try it and look at it, like get one of the glider guns or those giant spaceships from that website, and then look at it in a profiler and see.
Oh, I don't know that we're even to the profile. We're also even when I have an airport running on the same machine, I think that this machine will probably handle a little bit of Conway. We weren't that crazy. Although I remember when we were implementing Next, we tried to be the most naive possible. So it's see how crazy it is. Let's remove this print, and then I think this might be us for the night.
I think we got to a nice state. You can like modify the model and advance it, and that looks great.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Like I guess it has to go to a stable state, right? Because there's some absorbers in the state space. Oh, that was a glider there for a second, I think.
Was it?
Oh, they all died.
I don't know a lot about Conway. Okay, what happens if? Okay, I know we're like way over time. Oh, there's no easy way for us to change the size.
This is easy way. Just add more dots. More dots.
Well, I can make it. I don't remember how to do the Visual Studio vertical selection. Did I do it?
You totally did it. You're doing it.
I'm doing it.
Hit more dots. Oh no, you had it.
No, I'm living the dream. Hold on. Can we live the dream? Can we live the dream? Oh,
that's good. More dots. Oh boy. Oh boy.
All the dots. Show me the dots. Well, that's not that many dots. All the beacons.
Oh, look at that. It's not square because the world isn't square.
Whoa.
Yeah, our aspect ratio was.
Huh. Yeah, so aspect ratio is clearly not doing the right thing.
I think you're right. I think the painter should do it. Like, because the painter will know how big the world is, how much size it has to work with. Like, we should be doing it in the painter. And then it can do the hit testing properly. Like,
this is cool. Right? There's still. Oh, do we have a little glider?
It's all gonna die. It's all gonna die. Oh, you got down to one box.
Well, it's 2 boxes actually. They're somehow stable.
Oh, neat.
The other thing is that we have these rounding errors. I don't really even see this on screen, but there's a hairline.
Yeah, I think we should fix that like that.
It'll bother my soul. It would be nice to have just a little bit of space, just like a 1 pixel border between, so that you can see it's a grid.
You can count the squares and such.
Anyways,
I think it's super cool.
Yeah, it's been fun to dive into the Conway space. So, anything else you want to share with the internet tonight, Dr. Barth?
Not off the top of my head.
All right. Well, everybody, stay safe. Hope that you all find yourselves far away from fires. It's a crazy time right now. So,
well, thank you, Nash. Nash said something very nice to us.
This was a really cool.
Thank you, Nash.
I enjoyed it too. It was good to see you, Nash. Have a good week, everybody.
Yeah, see you next week.